Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravaradkacharya Ashtotara Sadasri Śrimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantara Śrimad Bhāgavatam Ki Samaveta Bhaktivedanta Ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you. Reading from Canto 3. Chapter 14, text number 3, which doesn't have a purport, so I will read 3 myself and we'll read together text 4. So text 3. Tasya chodaratakshaunim svadang stragrena lilaya daicharajasya cha brahman kasmat hetur abunmridhaha. What was the reason, O Brahmana, for the fight between the demon king and Lord Boar, while the Lord was lifting the earth as his pastime? And we'll do this one together. Shraddhadanaya bhaktaya Bruhi tats janma vistaram Rishina tripyate manah Param kautu halam hime Shraddhadanaya bhaktaya Bruhi tats janma vistaram Rishina tripyate manah Param kautu halam hime Shraddhadanaya bhaktaya Bruhi tats janma vistaram Rishina tripyate manah Param kautu halam hime Shraddhanaya Bhaktaya Bruhitats Janma Vistaram Bhaktaya Bruhitats Janma Vistaram Rishina Tripyate Mana Param Kautu Halam Hime. Okay, word for word. Shraddhanaya, unto a faithful person. Bhaktaya, unto a devotee. Bruhi, please narrate. Tat, his. Janma, appearance. Vistaram, in detail. Rishe, O great sage. Na, not. Tripyate, become satisfied. Manaha, mind. Param, very much. Kautuhalam, inquisitive. He, certainly. Me, my. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My mind has become very inquisitive, and therefore I am not satisfied with hearing the narration of the Lord's appearance. Please therefore speak more and more to a devotee who is faithful. Please repeat. My mind has become very inquisitive. And therefore I am not satisfied with hearing the narration of the Lord's appearance. Please therefore speak more and more to a devotee who is faithful. Purport. One who is actually faithful and inquisitive is qualified to hear the transcendental pastimes of the appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vidura was a suitable candidate to receive such transcendental messages. Shraddhanaya Bhaktaya Bruhitats Janma Vistaram Rishina Tripyate Mana Param Kautu Halam Hime. My mind has become very inquisitive, and therefore I am not satisfied with hearing the narration of the Lord's appearance. Please therefore speak more and more to a devotee who is faithful. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistang Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagra Jata Sahagana Raganatan Vitangs Tangs Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitangscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanshakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Seeking the blessings of all the assembled devotees and those listening online to give this impromptu class. The scheduled speaker is caught in traffic. Hare Krishna. And my fortune was it was a short purport, so I'm stuck. Let's talk about qualification. This is what the purport's about, and the verse is about the qualification to hear. It says, Vidura was a suitable candidate to receive such transcendental messages. So I'm going to request your help to give me some of the qualifications to hear. What should generally the qualification of a disciple. What are some of the qualifications? Faithfulness, which is actually what the verse said, Shraddhanaya, unto a faithful person. Now this appears interesting because Vidura is speaking, and so he looks like he's blowing his own trumpet, doesn't it? He's saying, unto a faithful person. He's like, my mind has become very inquisitive, so he's kind of saying that I've got a higher taste. Therefore, I am not satisfied because I've got this thirst. So he's kind of, please speak to me, to a devotee who is faithful. So he's saying he is faithful. But actually, Prabhupada was often, I'd call it, glorified himself. He sometimes spoke the truth about himself. I'll give you some examples, quite outrageous. He said, I am the only son of my spiritual master. And he goes on to explain, the daughters stay at home, the son inherits the business. So my godbrothers, they stayed in the Gaudiya mat, whereas I inherited the business of spreading Krishna consciousness. So he called himself the only son. So was that blowing his own trumpet? It was speaking, if we speak with the potency of the Chit Shakti, then it's not blowing one's own trumpet, it's just stating the facts as they have to be said. But thank you. Faithfulness, you mentioned one, did you? Ah. Submissively, yes. So now we are quoting Shastra, which is a safe bet. So pranipatena means to offer obeisances, submissive. Pariprashnena, to be inquiring. Pariprashna means you should inquire from all angles. Not that you just take a little understanding. You should inquire threadbare, which is often very difficult in our ISKCON society because some of the gurus have 1,000 disciples. How can they all do pariprashna with one guru? Very difficult, but Krishna carries what we lack and preserve what we have. Therefore, Prabhupada said himself in one purport in the Bhagavad Gita, even if you do not get association with the spiritual master, if you engage in service, then Krishna will reveal from within. So we have pranipatena, pariprashna, and sevaya, with service attitude. These are all instrumental case Sanskrit. Pariprashnena means by pariprashna, and pariprashnena, sevaya means by service. Tadvidi pranipatena, pariprashnena, sevaya. Any other qualifications? Yes, okay, in utsaha. Disciples should be enthusiastic. And where does this come from? Where does enthusiasm come from? Yes, association. Srinivas Prabhu. Enthusiasm and determination. It's interesting, inquisitiveness is not something that you can create out of nothing. So I'm going to ask you a question. Suppose someone says, "Oh, I'm not very inquisitive, I'm not very enthusiastic. What do I do to get that?" Hear about the glories of Krishna? But the person said already, "I'm not inquisitive." Just do it. Okay, yes. Nike, just do it. It works, yes. How about Shushushro, Shraddhanasya, Vasudeva Gataruchi, Shanmahat Seva Vipra, Punyatirtha Nashevanat. Engage in service. There are many devotees who are they're not very scholarly, they don't have so much taste, but they engage in service to others. And that is a very good sign, because through that they will get a taste for devotional service. So if we serve those that have the taste, and we associate with them, then we will get that taste, because service is something you can actually offer and do, whereas taste is something that has to be, it's a blessing. You see? Blessing. Inquisitiveness is a blessing, whereas service is something we can actually do. How about the 11th canto? Tasmad gurum prabhajita jigyasu sriya uttama shabdi parechanishnatam brahmanopashramashraya. This is a very important verse. It gives not only the qualification of the disciple, but also the qualification of the guru. So the disciple is Tasma Guru Prabhupada. Jigyasu meaning what? What does Jigyasu mean? Inquisitive, yes. So once again, we're back to this. There has to be that desire, inquisitiveness. Prabhupada used to criticize the Ashirvad Guru, meaning you go to the Guru and you ask for blessings, but you're actually not interested in hearing transcendental sound. So people go, "Oh, can I have blessings that I may have a child, blessings that my work may be fruitful, I may earn lots of money." And it's interesting what we ask blessings for, and I'm going to say some thought-provoking, potentially controversial things. I'm going to throw out a few little comments. Just recently, just a few days ago, someone asked me, said, I've just purchased a car, and I'm going to be at the Bhaktivedanta Manor on Saturday afternoon. Could you do blessings? Of course, being an internet troll for many years, I'm very aware that if you do something like that, you will be criticized, and you will also, Bhaktivedanta Manor will be criticized, because people have often talked about car blessings as not something that Prabhupada taught. So I told him, I said, that's very controversial. And I asked another senior devotee what I should say. And they said, you should tell this person to use their car to drive some devotees to the manor. That way you'll get blessings. So I wrote back to this person, and he said, that's a great idea. And he was very happy with an answer. So that's what we should do. Another one, I find this really funny. Someone actually came into the temple room, and they wanted, because sometimes people say when people get married, they bring their rings and jewelry and they offer to the deities, or they get beads, they get their beads and they offer to the deities, the Brahmin thread. You get these requests. But I found this one unusual. Someone brought in a clicker and said, I want to bring the clicker to the altar to have it blessed. And I was thinking, I don't think Prabhupada really wanted us to chant on clickers. I mean, that's like, maybe in an emergency you're doing so much service, you can chant on a clicker, but it's much better to chant on tulsi because you're actually touching the tulsi beads. See? So I don't think that's a good idea. Sometimes people come in and they bring their car keys, and they want their car keys. I mean, what do you do with the car key? Are you going to place it on Krishna's feet? Generally what we do is we place it on a table, I'm not talking about car keys, just in general, we place on a table and we offer to the deities. So yeah. So going back, why did I get onto that topic? Blessings. Yeah. Before that, I was saying something before that. Oh yes, Pariprashna. Yeah. Anyway, Tasma Guru, I remember now. Tasma Guru Prabhajita Jigyasu Sri Uttama. So we were talking about the qualification of the disciple, Jigyasu, and I mentioned service to the San Mahat Vipraya, service to the pure devotees, Punya Tirtha Nasevanat. Tirtha is an interesting word, usually means the holy place. It means the devotee as well, Tirtha. So you do service to the devotees. But could also mean service to the holy Dham. Back to Siddhanta Saraswati, he had a phrase, we should serve Gaura Kam, Gaura Dham, and Gaura Nam. So if you chant the names of Gaura, you'll get the mercy of Krishna. You serve the holy Dham, Mayapur Dham or Vrindavan Dham, and the desire of Gaura. So what is the desire of Gaura? Gaura Kam. What do you think Gaura's desire is for us? Yes, Sarvatra Prachar Abhimoranam, to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. So we're in the month of December. We used to call it the Christmas Marathon, now we call it the Prabhupada Marathon. It's interesting. So this is, in the 8th canto, it said, Yanti lokatapena sadava prayasho janaha paramaradhanam tadi purusha shakyalatmanaha. The highest form of worship of the Lord is to undergo austerity for the sake of suffering humanity. It's the highest form of worship, which means you may be worshipping the deity, or you may be on the street distributing Prabhupada's books. Based on this particular sloka, it is actually the highest form of worship to be distributing Prabhupada's books on the street, because you're bringing the conditioned souls to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and to Krishna. Prachnai svai pranina panti sadava kshanabhangaraya bada vaireshu bhuteshu mohiteshvatmamayaya. From the same chapter of the 8th canto, it's in connection to Lord Shiva. The sadhus will give up their temporary body just for the sake of helping suffering humanity who is bewildered. Bada vaireshu, vaira means envy, badi vaireshu or enmity, buddheshu, mohiteshu, bewilderment. So the idea here is, due to the bewildering energy of the Lord, suffering humanity is not only bewildered but also envious and averse to the truth. But the sadhu will undergo austerity, praknai svai pranina panti, even giving up his own life in order to spread Krishna consciousness. So this is, Jesus Christ is a great example. He died on the cross because he was teaching a message which was very unpopular but which was spiritual. Prabhupada, he wore his body down when he came to the West. He was so busy actively preaching that his body became very, very weak. But he underwent that austerity for the sake of suffering humanity. And back to Siddhanta Saraswati, he was told he had a heart condition in his later life, and he was told to slow down. And he said, without preaching, what is the purpose of living? In other words, I would rather preach and die preaching than to live and not preach. So preaching is our life, you see. So even with Prabhupada was the same. They tried to sometimes cancel some of his programs because he was ill and he was very angry. He said, no, I want to go. This is my life and soul. So this is the wonderful, the way to get the mercy. So we mentioned the verse from the 11th canto, Tasmad Gurum Prabhajate Jigyashu Sri Uttama Shabde Pare Chanishnatam Brahmanopashramashraya. So the meaning of this has got the meaning of the qualification of the guru as well. Shabde means the guru is expert in transcendence, scripture. Shabde pari also can also mean transcendence. And nishnata meaning very expert. And then brahmani means he's actually absorbed in the absolute. You see, you could have knowledge of shlokas, but not actually have realized knowledge. But if you use the term brahmani, Brahma means, it's a word that means lots of things, right? Brahma means the Vedas. It means you're an expert in the Vedas. Brahma means also Krishna, because he is Parabrahma. So the guru is meant to have this qualification. You're supposed to examine, pariksha. There's mutual examination, and it's sometimes recommended for 1 year. I think in ISKCON, the latest I heard, it was half a year minimum. You should be observing, you should be checking the guru, and the guru should be checking the disciple to make sure that you're compatible and that both are qualified. And in our society, although we have a collection of gurus that are authorized by the society. It is emphasized by the GBC that actually the responsibility is on us to check the qualification of the guru. So you can't turn around later and say, well, I just assumed that this guru was qualified because he was authorized by the GBC. No, you cannot actually use that as an excuse, because the GBC have already said to you that you have to make that decision yourself. So you have to examine the guru, check that the guru is qualified, and if later on the guru is not qualified, you can, under certain circumstances, take your leave of that guru if the guru has fallen and find alternative shelter. So we have qualification of the disciple. I'm thinking of one from the first canto. Saumya. You heard this word, saumya? What does it mean? Very soft. The qualification of the disciple is the disciple's not argumentative. The disciple's submissive and accepts. Why is that funny? Very what? Very hard not to be argumentative. Especially if you're doing pariprashna and you disagree with the guru, isn't it? And I'm going to say something that I've often thought. In some ways, I'm more open to discuss potentially argumentative topics with Shiksha gurus rather than my Diksha guru, because I'm feeling I don't want to fall out with my Diksha guru. So if I have a controversial topic, I will discuss it with a senior devotee who's not my Diksha guru. So I know that if things don't quite go right, it's not the end of the world. Anyway, so Saumya means peaceful, or very soft. So if one is, and this is human nature, it's very natural, if someone serves and they're very submissive, then you feel more inclined to reveal things to that person, isn't it? If someone's argumentative or someone is distrustful, you tend not to reveal your mind to such a person. But if someone respectful and inquisitive and does nice service, you're more likely to open up to that person. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Ki Jai. So this is an important aspect of spiritual life, that it's not just about theoretical knowledge. It's about confidential subject matters. Like the Bhagavad Gita talks about, Rahasyam etadutamam, bhaktosi me sakha cheti, rahasyam etadutamam. Krishna tells Arjuna, I will tell you the secret because bhaktosi me, you're my devotee, and sakha, you're my friend. Ultimately, we want to have a friendship with Krishna, because we tell things to our friends that we don't tell to our acquaintances. Now, spiritual knowledge has confidential aspects. For example, every day we sing Nikunja Yuno Ratikele Sijai, Yaili Bir Yuktira Pekshaniya, Tatati Dakshad Ativalabhasya, Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. The Guru is very expert in assisting the gopis. So if the Guru is on that platform, do you think the Guru is going to tell his service to anyone and everyone? No, only someone who has a very, very deep trust in. And that comes through being Saumya, which was a phrase described about Sutta Goswami, I believe, right? First canto. That the... was it to Shonakarishi? Anyway, I think Sutta Goswami was, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I've got an excuse, I'm impromptu class, so I'm not researched this. I think the reason why Sutta Goswami was eligible to receive the Śrimad Bhāgavatam is because he was Saumya. He was very peaceful, therefore he was blessed by his seniors that he would be given this knowledge. Because we can all hear, but who can actually absorb it? This knowledge is meant to enter into the heart, and that requires the blessings of the speaker. Satam prasangam mama virya samvido bhavanti ritkarna rasayana kata tajjoshana shatva bhavarga varmani shradarati bhaktira nukramishyati. Because the speaker has potency in the sound vibration. Therefore, if the disciple's qualified, now there's a term for a qualified disciple, patra. Patra means like a vesicle, a cup, a pot or something. If we have something, if the guru has something to give, if he's going to give nectar, there has to be a container. So that container is the heart of the disciple. If the disciple is qualified, that heart can receive that knowledge. That knowledge can actually become absorbed and become heartfelt. Therefore, the message will actually be absorbed by someone who is Mahapatra, meaning a very appropriate person, a recipient of mercy. So we mentioned about the qualification of the disciple and the qualification of the guru. So when the two are there together, there is the transmission of knowledge. And if either the disciple is not qualified or the guru is not qualified, there will not be this transmission of knowledge. See? So we have 10 minutes left. I'm going to open up for comments and questions. Anyone like to add some thoughts? Yes.
I thought another qualification of a disciple is also that I think Srila Prabhupada said that the qualification of his disciples were that they were disgusted with material life. They were seeking something spiritual, so they could pose the right inquiries into like spiritual life. They weren't just interested in improving their material life.
Thank you. To be materially exhausted, right? So Queen County has a prayer. Anyone know that prayer, Queen County? The last line is Tvam Akinchana Gochara. You know it? Say it if you know it.
Janmaishwarya Shruta Shribri Edamana Madapuman Narvahatya Bidatundvai Tvamakinchana Gochara.
Thank you. So Janmaishvarya Shrita Shribi. So this is, we're now looking at some of the obstacles to transmission of spiritual knowledge. If one has good birth, Janma, Aishvarya, one is opulent. Shruta, one is learned and puffed up because of it. Shri, one is very beautiful. Now, having these things in and of themselves isn't a disqualification, but the second line, Eda mana mada puman. If it causes bewilderment, madness, mada. Notice how the Sanskrit term mada is very similar to the English term mad. So if you're mad due to your so-called greatness, then naiva heart jabidatumvai, you can't actually sincerely call out to Krishna, who is the property tvamakinchana gochara, who is attained by those who have nothing. So if you have nothing materially, that is a good qualification to attain Krishna. And I have a friend, he once said to me, I consider myself fortunate. I'm not a good singer, I don't know any slokas, etc. But that's actually made me very kind of humble. So I feel that somehow that's a blessing, that I've not been given anything that can make me proud, because I don't have anything to be proud about, you see. So that's a qualification, and this is a very sweet devotee. I love this devotee. I won't mention who he is, I don't want to embarrass him. Anyway, so yes, being materially exhausted, that is how it's one of the qualifications. But actually, there's actually only one qualification when we actually look at it. That's bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya. Bhakti comes from bhakti. The only qualification is we have to have received the mercy of someone who has bhakti. So it's said that the Madhyama Adhikari, we're mentioning about the Prabhupada Marathon. So the Madhyama Adhikaris, they go out and they meet people, and just by their interaction, even if someone does not take a book, still that interaction can actually have a profound effect, because Bhakti Devi, within the heart of the devotee, may enter the heart of that conditioned soul. And later, in this life or in a future life, that will fructify with the desire, the inquisitiveness to read transcendental literature. So bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya, this is from the 11th canto. It means that bhakti ultimately comes from bhakti. Because if it was just about association with devotees, then everyone that associated with a devotee would become a devotee. But we see that so many people, they come in contact with a devotee and they do not take to Krishna consciousness. Why is that? Because it's the mystical transmission of bhakti that needs to take place. And if that has not taken place, then there will not be interest. And sometimes it takes many, many instances, many, many acts of agyata sukriti in order for the bhakti to actually fructify. And that's said in the Naradiya Purana. Bhaktis tu bhagavad bhakta sangena parichayati satsanga prapitir pumbir sukritaya purva sanchitai. That actually sadhu sangha comes from sukriti. Or sorry, bhakti comes from sadhu sangha, and sadhu sangha comes from actually bhakjon mukha sukriti, the type of sukriti that nourishes bhakti. This is from Naradiya Purana, and it's quoted in Jaiva Dharma. So we're going to conclude by quickly going over the three types of sukriti. So I mentioned one just now, it's called bhakti unmukha sukriti. It's that type of activity that leads to bhakti. And I'll give you some examples. Someone might, for example, work in central London, and they might go to work past Soho Temple. And on the way back from work, they may come a slightly different route. They go along the street next to Soho and go home. That means they've actually circumambulated Radha London Shivara each day. That is bhakti-om mukha sukriti. The person does not know they're doing it, but they're actually engaged in beautiful activity. It is sometimes said that Prahlad Maharaj became Prahlad Maharaj because in his previous life he was a grihasta and he had a quarrel with his wife, and he was so upset that he fasted, and it happened to be Nrsimha Chaturdasi. So due to that fast, he gained special mercy. That's another example of agyata sukriti. If you meet a devotee by chance on the street, that's another example of agyata sukriti. If you give a donation to a devotee, not even knowing they're a devotee, that's also agyata sukriti. So these types of sukriti, they build up, and then Krishna decides, that's it, they've reached the magic point. I'm going to send my devotee to this person. Notice how meeting a devotee is both the cause of sadhu sangha and is the sadhu sangha itself. Okay? But there's two other types of sukriti that is not bhakti unmukha sukriti. Anyone know what they are? Yes, karma-mukha sukriti and jnana-mukha sukriti. Very good. So, the jnana-mukha sukriti, it actually results in attachment to Supreme Brahman. So those that follow the impersonal path, they can be very renounced and they can get Brahman realization, but they don't have bhakti. So in order to get that high status, it is a high status, but they fall down from it. But that high status is due to jnana-mukha sukriti. And the causes of that are described in Jaiva Dharma. And off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly what they are, but I think study of the Upanishads is one of them. Now, you can study the Upanishads as a jnani without any bhakti, and that will give you jnana-mukha sukriti. And karma-mukha sukriti means activities which result in material opulence. And I think giving in charity would be one of them. If you give in charity, you actually get rewarded by Krishna. Anyway, you have a question? Thank you.
I have a question to...
Speak a bit louder.
I have a question to 5518.
5518, yes. That's from Rishabh Dev's teachings, yes?
One who cannot deliver his disciples.
Yeah.
His dependence from the power of...
Guru Nisasyad. Is that the verse?
Yeah, this one.
Do you want to recite the verse if you've got it in front of you?
I cannot. I'm not in Sanskrit. I can do it.
Okay, okay.
One who cannot deliver his dependence from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, a father, a husband, a mother, or a worshipable demigod.
Thank you.
As in Bhagavad Gita 7:14, in the purport, it's described that only like a freed soul, he can help a person because he's not influenced by the modes of material nature.
Yes, it's very good.
I may have seen spiritual masters who are on that level, but I find it very hard to believe that every husband and every wife and every father and every mother is on that level. So
yes.
How are they still able to deliver their children from the repeated? Because some did.
Yeah, it depends on how you understand this verse. So my understanding is, if you are submissive to authority, say, you mentioned that the father, not every parent is self-realized, so not every parent can actually deliver, right? But the parent can direct their children to a saintly person who is qualified, and that way they are delivered. So you can, as long as you're not blocking the stream of flow of bhakti, because you're respecting the line of authority and you're facilitating other people's coming in contact with people who can deliver, then you can be a mother and a father. And if it weren't the case, we wouldn't have very many mothers and fathers, would we? Because it's very rare to be self-realized. But that's a nice analogy Prabhupada gives in the Bhagavad Gita. It's like if you have handcuffs, how are you going to unhandcuff someone else? If you're in handcuffs yourself, how are you freeing someone if you can't free yourself? But yes, Guru na sasyat, svajano na sasyat, pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat, daivam na sasyan, na patis na sasyat, na mocha yedya samupeta mrityum. Roughly speaking, I didn't quite get the right endings. The sandhi wasn't quite right when I did it, but so that means you cannot become a guru, or you should not become a guru. Guru svajana. This is interesting, a relative. I find that one very interesting because you automatically become a relative through no choice of your own. If your brother or mother or father, or if one of your relatives has a child, then automatically you become a relative of that person. So you can't avoid it. But that's a svajana. But you shouldn't become an instructing relative, someone who gives advice, unless you can deliver that person. Pita, father, nasasyad. Janani, mother. Was it? Yeah, Daivam. Does that mean the demigod?
Yeah.
So,
worshipable deity.
Huh?
Worshipable deity.
Worshipable deity. Daivam nasasyad. Is that what it's both or just one of them? What's the actual translation for Daiva?
Here it just says the worshipable deity.
Worshipable deity. And what does the translation say? One should not become a worshipable deity or what?
No. Yeah, worshipable demigod.
Worshipable demigod. Okay, yeah, demigod. So the demigods, ultimately, they give everything to Krishna. And the proper demigod has this mentality. It says, Bhajanti ye yatamam bhajanti. Oh, that's not, I'm trying to think what it is, 11th canto. Chayeva karma sachiva sadava dinavatsala. That the devas, they are karma sachiva, meaning that they just give you what you get, what you're due to your karma. Whereas sadavo dinavatsala, the sadhus, they're actually giving mercy. So if you approach a demigod, you're actually not getting mercy. You're actually getting your karma, because they only give you what your karma is due. Karma sachiva. Chayeva karma sachiva, just like a shadow. Whereas if you approach a saint, you get something for nothing. You actually get the greatest gift, which is devotional service, and you didn't deserve it. Of course, demigods are devotees, so in their capacity as devotees, they are dinavatsala. But in their capacity as demigods, they're meant to just give what you're due to your karma. And Krishna taught this to Nanda Maharaj in the Govardhan Hill pastime. He said, why are you worshipping Indra? You're just going to get your karma. Demigods only give you what you're due by the laws of karma. Therefore, your duty, your activities are the cause, not the demigods. Anyway, shall we conclude here? Anyone else? Final comments or questions? Deepak Prabhu.
Just earlier, the Tadvini Pranipatena verse was mentioned, and we were talking about the qualifications of the disciple, Pariprashna, and what's the other one? Pranipatena. But also the qualification of the guru is mentioned. He has to be Tadvadarshi, otherwise he can't impart that knowledge unto the disciple. So,
Tattvadarshi.
Yeah.
Guru must be Tattvadarshi. Must understand the truth, be realized. Thank you.
Prabhupada says he has to have seen the absolute truth. So is that something other than just realization of knowledge? It's actual perception of Krishna? Does it,
Well,
or is it the same thing?
Prabhupada gives the example in the case of Narad Muni. He says, engaging in service of the Lord, I think it's engaging in Sankirtan, is non-different from seeing the Lord. So whether that seeing is the eyes seeing the form of Krishna, or whether it's realization, there's some kind of realization going on. To see the truth, what does it mean to see the truth? Naturally, if you are pure, you will see the Shyamasundar form as well, right? But you can get realization, you can see the truth. It has a broader meaning as well. Tattva, I mean, how do you see tattva? What does tattva look like? How tall is tattva? What's the form of tattva? Tattvadarshi, see the truth. Unless by tattva we mean Krishna. He's the absolute truth. Anyway, I'm speculating. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Śrimad Bhāgavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Brihat Madanga Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Who wants to go?